standing by.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You are live, you are live.
Good morning and welcome on our sunrise safari. Coming to you from Djuma, South Africa. And you've arrived at a perfect time because we have just arrived at the hyena den, which very sadly, as has been the pattern over the last few days, is completely deserted. If you do have any questions about things like hyena dens or anything else that we happen to see on our live safaris, you can send those through on hashtag SafariLIVE on Twitter, or you can email through on questions@wildearth.tv. My name is Jamie, and this morning I have Bryan on camera with me, and of course whenever Bryan's around the thumb tags along for the ride as well. And on this really somewhat chilly morning of 9 degrees centigrade, which is 49 odd in Fahrenheit, we're shivering our way through the start of a chilly winter's morning here in South Africa. We also have the lovely Lou and Chelsea in final control. Now it looks as though our hyena den has moved from here, because we've checked this den site now pretty much every day. Her tracks did come up here, or at least tracks of a hyena did come up past the den site, but didn't stop. And it's just a question now of where this hyena has decided to move her little cubs. And speaking of cubs, of course, we've got all kinds of exciting prospects, because the Queen of Djuma, Karula, the leopard that has 2 young cubs, I found her tracks not too far away, so hopefully she's decided to come back onto Djuma. And then, of course, there's lion cubs all over the show. Yesterday afternoon on the Sunset Safari, we watched them walk across quarantine, and then I spoke to one of our friends working at another lodge, and he said that while he was sitting with the lions on the kill, the cubs arrived safe and sound on the buffalo kill on Arathusa. And then there's all the new little babies, so there's just too many exciting things for words, and it really does look as though there are at least 3 sets of little lion cubs somewhere hiding about. I'm just checking now for tracks because I've seen some fresh ones. I think I'm going to check the Impala Road den while I head there. Let's go over to James so he can say good morning.
Good morning, everybody. And it's a really kind of not quite bright morning yet, but I think it's going to be a spectacularly lovely day here in the northeast corner of South Africa. My name is James Henry. On camera today is David. David is wearing his skateboarding gloves. Cycling gloves. Have you got a bicycle out here, David? Not quite. Anyway, each to his own. Also, his you don't have your balaclava on today. It's not cold enough for balaclava or bank robbing today. Excellent. Now, as Jamie has told you, we are live, and that means we do like to talk to you. Hashtag SafariLIVE or questions@wildearth.tv. It'd be wonderful to hear from you over the course of the next 3 hours or so. We're heading down this sort of road here. Well, it's not a sort of road at all. It is a road. And we're going down towards an area called Red Dam on Arathusa. Now, Arathusa is this western section of land that we traverse. It's about 850 hectares, which is plus minus 1,500 acres. And over there, the Nkuhuma Pride killed a buffalo yesterday, and they brought the cubs down there yesterday evening. Now, we're going to try and get in there. I know that there's going to be a huge amount of activity around there today, so we'll try and get in there quickly before the other sightings get in. And I don't think we're going to have a long to spend with them, but it'll be quite fun to watch those little things eating at the buffalo carcass. And what I think is quite interesting is that they're now roughly, what should we say, 6 to 8 weeks old. So they're now moving with the pride. She's no longer going back towards the area, a den site to feed them, to suckle them. She will still suckle them, but she's now moving them with the pride. And the process of them weaning and becoming voracious little meat eaters has now begun. It's apparently about 9 degrees centigrade. I thought it was going to be freezing this morning, but it's not that cold. 9 degrees centigrade is roughly, if I'm not mistaken, I think 46 degrees Fahrenheit, somewhere around there. Anyway, so that is the story of the morning. As always, we don't know what's going to be around the next corner. We have no idea whether these plans that we've made are going to be... Sorry. We have no idea whether our plans are going to change, and they may well during the course of the morning, because anything could happen. Shamsun, you say, wouldn't it be nice to see little lion cubs on a buffalo kill? Well, yes, absolutely. I think it would be marvellous fun to see little lion cubs on a buffalo kill, unless you happen to be a buffalo, in which case it might be slightly disturbing to see little lion cubs on a buffalo kill. But we are not buffaloes, are we, David? No, we are not. And so we would love to see little lion cubs on a buffalo. Let us drive gently down this road. Cedric from Arethusa is just making his way in there to assess the situation, and he will then let us know if we can go in there or not. Hopefully we will be able to do so. You can see the landscape. I'm just noticing it again and again, and I remember how as Jandre got back from leave, which was not long ago, or only about 4 days ago or so, he just said how in the 2 weeks that he'd been away it had become so much drier and so much sort of wintry, the landscape. And I think that it's becoming even more and more like that now. I notice it almost on a daily basis, and I'm off on leave at the end of this week, and I think that when I get back it's going to be sort of almost unrecognizable. And one of the trees that is changing is these Nkuhuma trees, and hopefully we'll go and see an Nkuhuma pride fairly soon with little babies. That is the brown ivory Berkemia discolor. Dave, that's a very artistic silhouetted shot there, well done. And they are the last, or some of the last trees to lose their leaves, and I certainly used to remember them as being almost evergreen, but out here not so much, and they're now losing their leaves. And eventually that too will be a little skeleton tree sticking up into the sky, and interestingly almost into the early parts of the summer. So although there are lots of leaves around now, and like I've said to you before, come September, that is when this place will really look like a winter landscape. There will be no leaves on any of the trees at all. And then the knobthorns will start to leaf. They'll flower first, a lovely, subtle, sweet-scented honey smell that they make. That's these big trees here. That's a knobthorn. Yes, there we go, David. Well done. Oops, I need a gear. Just checking here on the road. Of course, because we know that the road is a... we use the sort of cliche, the bush newspaper. It tells us what happened during the night, and we know that the road is going to have the tracks of whatever walked along here during the night, and we also know that many of the cats like to use the roads because, much like us, they don't enjoy the spiky feel of wet grass on their leggies, and so they like to use the roads. So they really are a good spot to see what's moved during the night. In this particular case, nothing moved on the road during the night. I can turn the radio up so that I don't miss anything. There we are. It's a lovely morning. I think yesterday was one of those perfect winter days where it was cold in the morning and then very delightful during the middle of the day. And that's what it's going to be today, I think. I think it's going to be about 23 degrees, 24 degrees Celsius. Sorry, just let me listen to the radio, everyone. What we don't want to do is miss out on those little cubbies. And one can do that when there is much activity and people trying to get in and out. And the smell of the morning is lovely. So, as Bryan was pointing out to me yesterday, he pulled off one of these combretum leaves. Now those are the sort of reddish, orangish, brownish leaves that you can see all over the place now. He pulled one off and he said, "This smells like cinnamon." And he's right, and it's only this time of the year they smell like that. And so as we drive through this landscape, there is a subtle smell of cinnamon in the air, which I think is lovely. It is, of course, mixed with the subtle smell of elephant dung, and buffalo dung. Alright, let's head across to Jamie. I'm going to try and find out what's going on with the sighting. Let's head across to Jamie and get an update from her. How's it going?
While James finds out what's happening with our lions, Bryan and I are heading east very slowly. That's because the faster we go, the colder it gets. I'm okay sitting sheltered by the front of Wendy, but poor Bryan has to bear the full brunt of the wind chill, as all our cameramen do, and it's quite nippy this morning. It feels colder than the apparent temperature, and everything's very, very dewy. It's very damp. I've just had a really interesting update, just chatting a little bit about our hyenas. There's that gorgeous whoopsie. I got distracted by the sunrise. Nearly drove off the road. Bright, crisp morning. Really is very pretty out here. Chilly, but pretty. I just had a really interesting update from yours about our hyenas. It seems as though the guys who work at Manuleti Game Reserve have picked up on a really nice hyena den right next to Gowrie Gate, but on the Manuleti side. And I think, given its proximity to Djuma, and I mean basically how it works is you've got two sort of slivers of property. You've got a little sliver of Manuleti and then Buffelshoek, and then Djuma sits bordering Buffelshoek. Okay, so picture all of that in the air. That's my drawing skills, my air drawing skills. But if that kind of makes sense, you've got a wedge going in, another wedge going in, and then a property that is Djuma, that is our traverse area. And Gowrie Gates sits at that corner. Now, given that proximity to our hyena clan, I think it's safe to say that's where they've gone. They've gone just that little bit, and it'll be less than half a mile away from Djuma's boundary, so away from the Sydney's Dam area. It's probably a couple of 100 yards from that spot. And that is where our hyenas are sitting. I don't know how many there are. I'm going to try and find out which hyenas we've got. Maybe we can even get hold of some pictures potentially of something which hyenas, so we can confirm if they are there. And that might explain why we've got the sort of constant set of tracks using Gallagher shortcut as a highway of hyenas. That's an interesting little update. I was hoping that Gwen, our new hyena mother, might stay separate from the rest of the clan, but she may well have decided at this point that her cubs are strong enough and old enough to hold their own, and that it's time to move them to the protection of the rest of the clan. Whew. Dip. And good morning to Marco in Mexico, although of course for Marco it is not morning at all. But Marco, yes, absolutely, we get hyenas in camp pretty much every night, and the tracks that I was following up that road came from our camp. So the hyenas come and snuffle around. We're very careful to make sure that the dustbins are inside and locked away out of their reach, although the last time that happened, the last time a hyena came in, the dustbins were inside, the hyena had a bit of a snuffle outside the window and then promptly defecated. Now, it's sort of 5 o'clock in the morning, you're not necessarily alert to the dangers of landmines within one's camp, and the hyena scat was promptly walked right through the kitchen. So that, you can imagine, was very pleasant smelling. Definitely what we wanted in our storeroom and our kitchen for the rest of the day. We did have a little bit of a joke about the fact that perhaps the hyena was punishing us for putting the dustbins away. The interesting thing, Marco, is that hyenas have evolved alongside humans, and they have associated us with food and food scraps for hundreds and hundreds of years. So absolutely, they learn incredibly quickly that people bring food, and if there's any kind of sloppiness around a camp, and I'm thinking particularly of that incident in Kruger not so long ago, if there's any sloppiness or deliberate leaving out of food, those hyenas are going to be there guaranteed every single evening, if they think they can get food every single evening. And that, of course, is one of the reasons behind, not the sole reason, but one of the reasons behind that tragic incident with the poor boy who got bitten badly by a hyena in one of the Kruger National Park camps. Because people stand at their fence and they feed the hyenas, because then it brings the hyenas nice and close and they can have a look at them. And they forget about the consequences and the far-reaching nature of their actions. So we try to be very careful. We also shut the gate, believe it or not, of the camp, but that's never stopped. I've never ever found a fence that stops a hyena or a leopard from getting through if they want to get through. Oof, everything's hiding. They're all still in bed. Trying to sneak away from the cold. Shame, and those poor little... One has to feel so terribly sorry for those little lion cubs. They'll be fine, don't get me wrong. They've got each other for warmth and they'll be tucked away securely. But you have to feel sorry for them when mom's away feeding and you've got these tiny little creatures cuddling together and shivering. I've just heard an update from Mike about male lion tracks heading in our direction, so we could get lucky with them as well. While we go and follow up, let's head over to James, find out how he's doing.
Right, now there is a great excitement out here because thousands of people are descending on the lion sighting. We are what is known as second standby, which means that we'll be able to go in hopefully in the next half an hour or so to have a look at the cubs. They are on site, they are devouring meat as we speak, so it would be very nice to go in there. If I suddenly looked like this, it means that the radio is exploding in my ear again. But I cannot turn it down because I don't want to miss us being called in. We are, of course, very much guests at Arathusa, and so we need to be sort of inconspicuous and thank you, and very, polite to everybody around here, lest we be tossed off the land. We won't be tossed off the land, it's okay. I'm normally very polite, aren't I, David? There is a duiker, David, if you can believe it. It's now running at great speed. There it is. David has spotted a blurry duiker. There we go. Now it's in sharp relief. Beautiful. Nice shot. Texas Tweed, you ask a very valid question as to how old those cubs we found yesterday were. Texas Tweed, they were youngsters. They were probably only about, I'd say, maximum of 2 weeks old. I think less than that. So basically I had no idea that they were that age. We thought we'd go in there and see if the mother was there. I thought there were these 3 cubs, and that's why we closed that sighting down very quickly, and we'll only go in there if the mother is there now, because they're too young to view on their own, that's for sure. And so what will happen is that somebody, maybe Taxon, maybe Jamie, or someone will go in there today, check if the mother's there with the cubs. If she isn't there, then we won't view them. So it was just kind of we knew there were cubs there, so we went to have a look. We didn't know that they were that small, and so that's why we moved out of that sighting yesterday. Beautiful to see them like that. And again, like I said yesterday, we run it like this because there are so many cars around and so many vehicles and people wanting to get into sightings and look at them. We need to try and be as sensitive as possible. To stick a film crew in there, not moving around, vehicles not going in and out, I don't think would have any effect on the lives of those cubs whatsoever. But we can't do that, obviously, because, there are lots of people who'd want to get in and out. So we just close it down and just make it as sensitive as possible for those cubs. And you know that many times you've seen documentaries of cubs being carried in their mothers' mouths, and you've seen probably even births of young lions and young leopards. As long as there's not too much movement around, it normally makes it okay. And the crucial thing to remember here is, why do we do this? Why is it important for us to close these sightings down? Now, to me, there are 2 issues here. The first is, it's largely that we think maybe and quite possibly hyenas follow vehicles. They have learnt that there could be things around where there are vehicles, so it is possible that hyenas follow vehicles, especially at night. Not so much during the day, but they do seem to go and look where there's a spotlight. They do we think they go off and find things. So If there's any chance that you could attract something like a hyena to a sighting like that, well, obviously then you've got a problem. The second thing is the noise. So we know, especially with those little leopard cubs, they do like to climb trees, and that's their main source of defense. They also hide. That's also a very good, important part of their defensive mechanism. They cannot hear or smell potential threats coming up to the den site if there are vehicles moving around in and out constantly. And if, without vehicles there, they'll be able to hear maybe the rustling in a bush, go up a tree, or they'll be able to smell something like a hyena and go quiet and hide under a bush, which is probably what those little lion cubs would do. With the vehicles coming in and out, we are a very powerful smell in this car, and that's not to cast aspersions on David's personal hygiene, because he smells very good, of course, to the human being, but to the lion cub, he will be very distracting to smell, as will all of the fluids in the vehicle, the fuel, the burning gasoline and that sort of stuff. So that's why the sensitivity around these cubs exists. It's not that our being there in a stationary position has any effect on their lives, because I don't believe that it does. But the smell and the sound that we make going in and out is what makes that sensitivity so important. So there are no hard and fast rules, but we have to make the hard and fast rules when there are so many people around. So I know to many of you it would have been slightly confusing, A, as to why we went in there yesterday, and B, as to why we wouldn't stay there. Right, we're going towards Red Dam anyway, just to see if there's some water there. Now, Susan, a very nice question from you. You want to know if the lion cubs are well hidden, would the hyenas still smell them? Susan, I don't believe so, but I don't know for sure, and I'll tell you why I don't believe so. We do know, for example, that an animal like a sable or a roan antelope, their calves apparently have no scent. So lions walking through the long grass can walk meters, within meters of an unattended sable or roan calf and not smell them. Now, it's my firm belief that a lion cub is probably very similar, because you can imagine the threat that those things were under yesterday. They were in a tiny little drainage line. They're that big. If a hyena came across there, there'd be absolutely nowhere for them to go. They don't climb like leopard cubs. They're much too small, and so they'd have been devoured in seconds. They really were at a great risk in that little drainage line. I imagine that it would be almost impossible for them to stay undetected if they smelt. And so, no, I don't think hyenas would be able to smell them, no. Let's see what's at the dam here. Of course, it is quite chilly today, and so it's unlikely there are going to be a whole lot of things streaming down to have a morning drink. One lonely blacksmith lapwing, two lonely blacksmith lapwings. I must just get out of this car, I'm afraid, to fix the seat. Brentley Smith and his vast mass have been moving around on it so much yesterday that I think it's dislodged itself entirely. There we go. That will be better. So that's the blacksmith lapwing, and as many of you will know, it is called such because apparently its tinking noise, which you can hear there, is supposed to sound like a blacksmith hitting an anvil. I don't think it sounds anything like that myself. Having been a bit of a horseman myself in my day, I have seen many blacksmiths, and I've yet to hear one that hits an anvil that makes a sound like that. There's also, if you listen very carefully, I don't know if you can hear it, David, off to the left-hand side there, yeah, if you point the microphone there. There's the call of a grey tree frog. It's very subtle. Can you hear it? Quack, 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 quack. Quack, 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 quack. That's interesting. It's very subtle, everyone. I don't think you'll be able to hear it. It's in one of those trees there. There's a grey tree frog. clearly in high estivation mode, i.e. completely shut down just about, but he is making a very subtle call. Alrighty, let's move on from Red Dam. Oh, but before we do that, let's have a quick look at the sun. Right, now this is very good news. Jamie is going, ooh, that's beautiful. Jamie is going to have a look quickly at the little cubs because the mum seems to have headed that way. Just listening to the radio. We might have two sets of lion cubs. Oh, look at that beautiful shot. Isn't that stunning? Sorry, this is the reason I'm now starting slightly distracted is because the game drive radio is going ballistic again in my ear. Oh, stunning. Well, David, that is artistic in the extreme.
Oh, thank you.
Yes. Okay, let's move on from here. I just want to make sure that we are in position when our time to go into that cubs. Right, let's move on. Yes, it is. I walk in the rain. You say, is this my hairspray next to the monitor? It is my hairspray. I walk in the rain. And it's my hairspray because, of course, I don't have any hair anymore. And so what you do is you put an engine lubricant on the top of your head and it makes the baldness shine very nicely. But because the sun has just come up and is at the wrong angle, I'm not going to put it on now because, well, it will blind you. The lens will crack. The sensor and the camera will be destroyed by the great brightness of my balding head. Let me move that out of the way. Thank you, I Walk in the Rain, for reminding everybody that I am in fact bald. Well, not quite bald. You see, if I was bald it would be okay. It's just that there's a rather disturbing pattern of baldness on the top of my head, which is really, it's quite astounding what it looks like through the camera. I'm not going to show you, but it's not an even balding pattern. You know, we all have our little trials to deal with. That is mine, amongst others, but that's my main bugbear with my personal genetics at this stage, other than my plover's legs. You just move out of the way here for Ryan. Come, Ryan, I'll move. Here is Ryan from Arethusa. His guests are freezing to death, as you can see. Good morning. Aye. How are you doing? Enjoy? Chilly this morning. Yes, you all look rather like you're expecting a snowstorm.
Aren't you?
Not quite. No, I'm all right here. I've got a blankie on my leggies. Enjoy. We'll see you around the other side. So Ryan is going to the lions, and then we'll go in after him. And with any luck, we'll have 2 lion cub sightings, like I say. It'll be very exciting, won't it, David? Yes, we won't know where to look. I still think even if those other very little ones are there with Mum, I think it's going to be difficult to get a good view of them because they are deep in a drainage line. But also there's not too much activity on Djuma, it sounds like, this morning, so maybe we'll get a decent sighting there. Who knows? My hands are now getting very cold. So Jamie will tell you, but she has just checked the mother is not at the old den site from yesterday, so she's going to pull out of that area and go and look for something else. So we'll have to make do with our lion cubs here. So disappointing, isn't it, David? Yes. You see how David has to quietly say, yes, James, every time I make a gormless comment, because he can't sort of roll his eyes to you and slap me on the back of my head and tell me to stop being an idiot. He has to pretend that he finds me very amusing. Otherwise, my very fragile presenter's ego will become upset. I'm going to try and find something other than lion cubs to show you. But it is so cold this morning. Suddenly it seems to have got colder, don't you think, Dave? Yes. See, he said yes again. I'm not sure if he actually agrees with me or not. Sorry, look, I'll give you my look. Justin, I'm going to ask for your question again, but if I do this, it means I'm not hearing it anymore. Louise, please go again with Justin's question. Sounded like a good one. If I had a catchphrase that could be on a mug or a t-shirt, what would it be? That's not something I've ever been asked before, Justin. I shall have to think about it. A catchphrase. I'm not sure. I thought I saw a leopard there, but I didn't. I saw a stick. Justin, a catchphrase. I don't know. You know what I've taken to saying to people? I've done it for years now. I don't know why I do it. I have no attachment to the country at all, but every time I see somebody, I drive past them, like in the bush here, and I go, "Vive la France!" And people just stare at you blankly because we have no connection with France here. I have no connection with France. I'm not sure why I do that, so I'd probably put that on a mug or a t-shirt. Yes, I don't really know. What would you put on a t-shirt, David? Don't be cuck, be lekker. Okay, so that's a bad word, David. We can't use that on TV. I'm going to use it again though because it's quite a nice phrase. There's don't be cuck, be lekker is an Afrikaans sort of saying that means don't be bad, be good. We'll go put it like that. But it's not quite as polite as that. But in many phrases in Afrikaans, which is a South African language, okay, we're okay now. Okay, we should be okay. There are 11 official languages in South Africa, as we know. One of them is Afrikaans, which is derived from Dutch. It's a fairly simple version of Dutch. Some indeed might call it a pidgin, not in the presence of an Afrikaans person, of course. And it's a wild dog track, that is. And many of the phrases in Afrikaans just simply don't translate into English, like don't be kak, be lekker. It looks like one single wild dog track, but it's probably just the back foot of a fairly small hyena, because there are lots of other hyena tracks here. Alright, let's carry on for a little while up the road here. I think those lions are moving, that's why I was looking like I was. Alright, while we wait around here, let's go across to Jamie and get an update from her, and I'll hopefully have some lion cubs the next time you see me.
Hello that is very exciting news. The potential of seeing our little lion cubs on their, probably not their first kill, but certainly one of their first kills ever. Sorry, I'm just distracted looking back into a tree to make sure that's not a kill that I see dangling there. But I don't think it's a kill, I think it is a branch. Obviously our leopards in this area very often drag their food up into a tree to keep it out of the reach of marauding lions and hyenas. That's what I was checking there. Now, interesting news. There are fresh female lion tracks going into Buffelshoek Dam and into the drainage line there where she was keeping those tiny brand new cubs. We've done a circuit of the area. I just want to see, I suspect that she is going to move them out of that den site. In fact, she probably already has moved them out of that den site and a little bit closer towards the kill. So whilst they're too young, unlike the ones that are there now, these little cubs are far too young to be at a kill site. Their ears haven't even popped up yet, but they are very far away for her to keep going, feeding at the carcass and then coming back, feeding at the carcass, coming back. So what you'll probably find under the cover of night is that she's busy moving them a little bit closer. So I imagine that was what she was up to last night. This is a sort of sighting one wishes desperately that one could see, but at the same time, obviously we would never wish to compromise the safety whilst she moved them. That being said, the tracks are so fresh that must have been from this morning or recently. So I just want to do a check of the area around it, just to make sure that she isn't in the process of moving them, which would be fascinating for us to witness, because her tracks kind of do go backwards and forwards. Michael, James was talking about the fact that we don't view the cubs when they are without their mum. And good morning, Michael. I hope you're enjoying this anticipation of the start of the sunrise safari of little lion cubs. Michael wants to know, since James mentioned that common practice, what age we start viewing the cubs on their own, or if we don't at all. There's a rule, there's a set of guidelines that govern all actions of the various guides in this area that states that at about 4 months of age for lion cubs you'll be able to view them. That being said, it doesn't really work like that, because at that age they're almost always with their mothers, almost always with the pride. So right up until that point we won't be viewing them on their own. Even now with Karula's cubs, the female leopard cubs that are 5 months old and quite capable of climbing trees, we have seen them before without mom, but we do so at a considerable further distance away from them than we might if she were there. But by 4 months old, a lion cub is not a big thing. Certainly not as big as these elephants that I nearly drove past completely. But a lion cub at 4 months old is big and stocky and has the full protection of the pride. Good morning, Ellies. And how are we on this beautiful morning? Looks like a couple of young bulls. Oh, and a breeding herd. Here's some very little ones. Where are you going to go, Ellie, so we can get a nice view? I think they're on their way to have a drink. Nice. There's a big breeding herd here. Hello, guys. How stunning is this morning light? It's just absolutely gorgeous. Some very big females coming slowly in our direction. And then a couple of little ones as well. Hi, guys. Hello, big girl. Giving me that big-eared head-up stance, just to have a look and investigate who we are and what we are. And a deep rumble as they talk to each other. Hey, gorgeous girl. Hey, big girl. Good morning. Don't worry, we're not a threat. We're just coming to say hello to your pretty family. Little one's moving behind for the safety of the rest of the herd. And she's making sure to put herself between us and them. There's a little bull coming at the back. Morning, Ellies. And you, are you going to be cheeky? Are you going to be cheeky? Hey, little boy. Nope, just coming through. And as I said, they could well be on their way for a drink at Buffelshoek Dam. Okay, let's reposition. Now that they have moved behind us and we're not too close to startle them. Awesome! What a wonderful way to start off the morning. Just waving hello to Mike and all his guests. And we'll move over so that they can have a view of the eddies as well. And this dry scenery does make for the most spectacular colours, especially in this morning sunlight. Everything shines a red and a gold colour. Look at her, she's huge. She's got enormous tusks on her for a female. Really, really long but thick as well. Typically, female elephant's tusks tend to be a bit thinner than that of a male. There's a little calf grabbing the scraps. You're gonna get left behind, little girl. Oh, I want those right at the top there. And while her previous calf munches away, Shamsun, she is huge, and yes, it could well be that she was pregnant. She's not heavily pregnant, that female that walked away from us. She was, I wouldn't say that she is imminently due to give birth. Oh, little one reaching, stretching right up. I would, however, say that there's a good chance, given the age of her current calf, who is desperate to get to those top leaves. Here we go, well done, little girl. Careful, watch your feet. See what I mean about the beautiful colours at the moment? The Shamsun, yes, elephants give birth at any time of year. They don't have a strict breeding season. A slight peak when around the rainy season, when there is plenty of food and nutrients about. But with a 22-month gestation, they can't really afford to be fussy as to when they give birth. They don't need to be. And they lactate for up to 3 years afterwards. So the calf is provided with plenty of food. Sorry guys, bear with me one moment. I'm just listening to the Game Drive channel. Okay. Oh, well done. I'd like to make my way there. Oh, sorry, little Ellie. Didn't see you there. And Pinchy Whiner's hat. Good morning, and yes, you are right. The elephant's bones, for a lot of them, are becoming more and more prominent. It is tricky. Hello. It is a very, very sad thing watching these elephants, all animals, as they start to struggle their way in this dry season. Hello. Hi, big girl. Hello, big girl. Nicely, nicely. It's okay. It's okay. Beautiful. Right up close to this. But Pinchy One is right. To see the effect of the drought is relatively stressful for all of us. And Shelley, with the drought, I wouldn't say that the elephants are becoming more aggressive, but they are more stressed out. They definitely are showing stress levels, increased stress levels. They've got further to walk for water. They've got further to walk for food. They're tired. They're nutritionally stressed. And yes, that is making them slightly more, not aggressive, aggravated in terms of their responses to anything, not necessarily us. I mean, you can see how peaceful they are. That elephant walked right next to our vehicle. Guys, I just need to get onto the Game Drive channel. There's some very exciting news, but there's lots of chatter happening here in terms of us getting into a sighting. But Herbert, once again, has pulled it out of the hat, and the Queen of Djuma has somehow managed to go from where we are now to the other side of Djuma, and she is currently with Herbert. So what I'm going to do is I just need to chat quickly. Stations, I'm still far up on Buffels of Cutline, Cheetah Cutline Junction, so if there's anybody closer, you're welcome to make your way in first. It is time for us to head in a different direction. Okay, we're going to slowly make our way towards that sighting. We're not going to rush there. There are lots and lots and lots of people wanting to make their way to go and see her, so we're not going to gallop off. Just going to turn things down a bit. So while we chat away on the Game Drive channel and make a plan to get to Karula, let's go across to James, who has managed to brave the queue, and he is with the lions right now.
There's very exciting stuff in here, everyone. We're sitting here, of course, at the kill site where you have been before, but I have not. There are elephants screaming away from here, and we just watched one lioness chase a hyena off into the bushes. She's looking up. The cubs are apparently to the right-hand side of your screen, perhaps heading this way, not sure yet. I think you'll find that the mother led them away from here because of the presence of so many hyena. We've seen 2 or 3 of them. Here she comes now, Davy. She's coming back through the bush there. Other lioness. And here comes the lioness with the cubs. Here comes the cubs. Isn't this wonderful? Now, we're not going to have a very long time here, everyone. Ryan, I've got visual now. They're all come back to the carcass. Isn't this brilliant? Look at the little things. I must try and maintain some form of decorum. Not squeal. They are the best. Isn't that amazing? This is just fantastic stuff. Hello, little chaps. Alright, now everyone, what we're going to do now is a virtual reality shoot. That means that I'm going to talk towards the front of the car. We won't be taking, well, we will take your questions, but just try and save them up a little bit. So I'm going to do a virtual reality shoot. Dave, do we need to clap or something?
Rolling, nice big clap.
We're just going to do a clap. Does that do? All right. Now to the right-hand side of the front of where you're looking, 3 little cubs chewing there on a stick. They would have been eating some meat. In the front there you can see their mother. She's lying away from the carcass, and to the left and front, of course, 2 lionesses on a buffalo bull. The 3 of them, in fact 5 of them, killed this thing yesterday. 2 of them have departed to go back to their litter of cubs, much smaller than these ones. These ones, which you can see on the right-hand side there, are just 8 weeks old. So they've just started moving with the pride. So they will still be suckling, but she will also be starting to feed them meat. And if you look above you, you can see beautiful blue, winter, clear skies. It's absolutely stunning. It's the most perfect morning. And there you can see they're just fossicking around there. That moist sand that little cub is playing in there, that's blood. That is blood from this buffalo that was killed here yesterday. You can see they're moving up to its mum while the 2 of them play off to the side. Absolutely wonderful, wonderful stuff. This is not something you see every day, everyone. We are very, very lucky indeed. And we know, of course, that there is a great danger here for these cubs because there are hyenas around, and hyenas, of course, will destroy little cubs like this if they can get at them. But the mothers are here. The mother is here, and she will most certainly protect them. Look at them just catching there in the sun. Isn't this wonderful? We are so lucky. Okay, now the mother is talking. Listen to this. The mother's talking. I think she's either calling another lioness, or perhaps she spotted a hyena. This is amazing. Now they're right underneath the vehicle. Look at the 3 of them. Oh, this is just too fantastic for words. Look at them playing here. Now we don't know which one's a male and which one's a female. Looks like at least 1 male to me. Looks like 1 male and 2 females. Now they're going to have something to eat. This is fantastic. Oh, wow. And of course, they're right underneath you now. So look to the right and down. You can see them there. Oh, this is unbelievable. While the 2 females who do not have cubs are feeding. Oh, there's another lion calling to the right-hand side. I can hear a female going, oh, oh. Yes. In fact, it's a full-blooded roar going now. Ooh. That's why those cubs have stopped playing. With them playing here, it's just too wonderful. We are so lucky to see this, really. And we're not going to have long here, everyone. We're going to spend another probably 2 or 3 minutes here, and then we're going to have to move out to make some space. We're going to go and feed. You can see spotting. See the spots down the back? This is just unbelievable stuff. We are so lucky to see this. Those little ones now, of course, still under immense danger, of course, because they're very little. Hyenas could come in here, but they're over the worst of it. They are moving with the pride now, and that means that they could well be safe, because no hyena is really going to have an attack on 3 lionesses like this. They'll be very wary of doing that. At this kill site, probably take at least probably 5 or 6, no, in fact, at least 8 hyenas before these lionesses would be chased off. This is just absolutely fantastic stuff. What I'm hoping is that they're going to make a nice call for you. The sound of little lion cubs playing is unbelievable. Ow, wow. Look at that. This is why you want to see lion cubs, everybody. Because this is what they do. They just are the sweetest things in the world to watch. They're so active. That is just too fantastic. And all the while, the two who are not mothers at the moment feeding away. And it doesn't look like they've eaten a great deal, you know. To me, it looks like they haven't eaten a huge amount. They're not that full yet. All right, everyone, that's going to be it for us. We're going to have to leave here. I'm going to pull out now. Stand by one. You can make your way in here. All right, everybody, that's going to be it. Let's just enjoy one last view of these incredible lions. We're going to have to leave now. But what a joy to see them here in the perfect golden winter morning light. I've tried to take some photographs, of course, most of them absolute rubbish. I'm just going to find out on the radio now where everyone is. Who is on standby 1 and what's your position? Okay, copy. Will you just let me know when you get off road and I'll move out then? We'll have a minute left, everyone, so let's just enjoy it for a minute. Alright, we've stopped our VR, so if you'd like to ask any questions, you can send those through now. They're moving so fast that I don't think I've managed to get one photograph. Dara in Ohio, you saying, do I know if they're boys or girls yet? I don't. I think I saw 1 male and 2 females, I think. But I'm not sure. I'm not certain. So it could be either. Or it could be many. One of many combinations. I think that's what it is, though. And so it will, in fact, be Jerry, Kirsty and Louise is what we'll call them. And do you think, Dave?
Sounds good, Dave.
Those are very good names for them. Jerry will be the male, because, you know, it could be Gerald or Geraldine. Just too special. So like I say, the person who's coming in here is just not quite here yet, and so we'll take the time to enjoy them briefly. But it won't be for long, I'm afraid. And then we'll go and see what else we can find. But when, you know, when your day has started like this, I'm just not sure how much better it can get. Hey, Darv?
Oh.
Too special. There you can hear that wonderful noise they make. And Mum getting irritated now. And they're getting irritated with each other. You know, those females, although they are supposedly friends with each other, they do a great deal of fighting over food. Listen to her talking to them. This is wonderful. best. Okay, here we go, everybody. Go ahead. Okay, copy. I'm going to make my way out. Make your way straight in. All right, everyone. That's it. It has been what a joy. I know it's been short. Affirmative. Okay, Davey.
Yep.
Wonderful. Okay, let's go across to Jamie and get an update from her. I'll catch up with you when we're out of this wonderful sighting.
That sounds like it was the most extraordinary time spent with those little cubs. I'm absolutely thrilled for you. I'm thrilled for James. I know how much he adores the lion cubs. And of course, he was terribly upset when Bryan and myself saw them the first time. So I am very, very happy that he got to enjoy that particular moment with an extraordinary lion pride. When you left me, I was on my way to a site of Karula. I'm still slowly making my way there. We are not in any kind of a rush. She seems to be highly mobile, and there are lots and lots of people that would like to go and join that sighting. So we're letting them have their time first, and then we'll slowly make our way in. Hopefully they keep track of her for us. Oh, I was going to try and show you one very cold-looking dacre, but our very cold-looking dacre decided that it wasn't going to stay still. Bear with me 1 second, I just want to hear an update on where she is. Okay, and the reason I say that is because while I've been driving along here, I've been checking her where she went off the property last night, and I'm just making sure that there's no cub tracks anywhere in the vicinity, because we're not 100% sure where she's stashed her little babies either. I think let's take a trip along Quarry Pan Road, kill some time before we go racing off there. You never know, we might encounter that lioness moving her cubs back towards the kill. She's not going to, as I said, she's not going to take them to the kill. She's going to move them a little bit closer and stash them somewhere safely. I'm not sure how many lionesses were at the kill. Maybe if we could get hold of that information.
Sorry about this, everybody. Perhaps something has pushed over the Gauri repeater, just like the elephants have pushed over this marula tree. Our technical team is rushing around madly trying to fix it, and we'll be back with you as soon as we can. Sorry about this, everybody. Perhaps something has pushed over the Gauri repeater, just like the elephants have pushed over this marula tree. Our technical team is rushing around madly trying to fix it, and we'll be back with you as soon as we can. Sorry about this, everybody. Perhaps something has pushed over the Gowrie repeater, just like the elephants have pushed over this marula tree. Our technical team is rushing around madly trying to fix it, and we'll be back with you as soon as we can. Sorry about this, everybody. Perhaps something has pushed over the Gowrie repeater, just like the elephants pushed over this marula tree. Our technical team is rushing around madly trying to fix it, and we'll be back with you as soon as we can.
It is a very crisp, very bright morning. While we circle the area and slowly make our way towards the Queen of Djuma, let's go over to James, find out what he's been up to and whether or not he's still smiling from ear to ear after that incredible sighting.
I am still smiling from ear to ear, everybody, and for two reasons. One, of course, those wonderful cubs, and we've come across here a bird party full of birds. Otherwise, it wouldn't be called a bird party. And it's difficult to see what's going on here, but there are lots of birds. There's scimitar-bulls, there are white-crested helmet shrikes, there are long-billed crombecs, and most of all, if you listen carefully, there's a Steerling's wren warbler. Now, I know many of you will not have that on your bird lists. Just keep listening, everyone. Yeah, naturally, it's gone silent. There's also... Is that it, James? You got it. Good grief. No, that's a Shivambalana. That's the emerald spotted wood dove. There's also a black cuckoo shrike going prop prop. It sounds like a frog. There. I'm loath to move. Okay, let me sneak a little bit forward, everyone. Ah, there it is. Baby, it's... Okay. You see this thorn bush there? Yes. It's on the left-hand side of that. I just don't want to move forward, but it's through the back. I'll go a little bit forward. Let's see if we can get it. It's quite a special bird, this, everyone. Where are you? Where are you? You foul little bird. Why have you gone away? There. There it is. Did you get where it landed?
Not quite, no.
He's such a secretive fellow. Davey, he's in this bush here. There are a few birds in this bush here, one of which is a long-billed crombeck. If you go up and to the left, you'll get the crombeck. And you see the crombeck there? Down a bit. Oh, now the crombeck's gone too. Okay, everyone, I'm afraid that's it. But let me just quickly, I'll show you a picture of him. He's really quite splendid. And he might pitch up while we're waiting here. And W for wren warbler. Or just W for warbler. 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 There we go, 352. He's a very sort of inconspicuous fellow. It's not like you would see him. He's not like a great eagle or a great colourful parrot of some kind. but there he is there. The Steerling's wren warbler, or Miombo wren warbler, sorry, and that's him there. And he goes tick 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 tick. No, they're all around here, everyone. It's just almost impossible to show them with the camera. Just look into this tree here, Dave. You can see some scimitar bulls. There we go, that's a scimitar bull, everyone. Looks like a green woodhoopoo, but isn't. It's got a long, thin, scimitar-like black bill, and it doesn't want to be on screen. Beastly little fellow. I've got to tell you, being a bird cameraman is one level more hard, many levels harder than being a straight wildlife film cameraman. Well done, David. Oh, don't know what that was. Anyway, let's move on. It's so glorious sitting here in the sun. And of course I've now forgotten that word again. That means the warm sun on your face in a cold winter's morning. No, apricity. Thank you. That's Kirsten who remembered it, and Louise now this morning. Apricity. Thank you, Louise. Apricity. Beautiful. I'm feeling great precipitousness upon my face. And GT Frog, you say my catchphrase for my mug or t-shirt should be crepuscular apricity rules. I would agree, except I would say should be crepuscular apricitus petrichor rules. Thank you very much, GT Frog. And as Louise says, rules must be spelt with a Z. Louise, that is not how you spell rules, you know that. You know I would be unable to have anything that had rules spelt with a Z, because I'm not hip and cool and gangster, like you, Slim Shady. There is a little herd of Impala, and I always say the rule is you have to stop for at least one herd of Impala every day, because they are so beautiful, and yet we drive past them and don't appreciate quite, I don't feel, what they have to offer. Now, all of them will be pregnant, these females, or say 90% of them, and that's not easy at this time of the year, and they will start to wear it. When you look at the males, I think they're all looking in pretty good condition. You start to look at the females round about this time of the year, they're starting to show signs of nutritional distress. Slightly more hippie, their bones sticking out slightly more. Not an easy time at all. But they still look alright, you know. I think they look better, for example, than the elephants. I think the elephants are starting to look a bit ropey. And some of the buffalo likewise. Very, very nice. It's the most perfect morning, everyone. You can see almost not a breath of wind. There's a very slight northwesterly breeze. Very slight. Northwest is to the right-hand side of your screen. And in the background, the call of the most beautiful bird here, the lilac-breasted roller, and its extremely ugly call. There's something moving in the bushes to the left of us. I suspect a francolin fossicking amongst the cinnamon-scented leaf litter. But maybe it's Shadow and Zara. But probably not. Alright, let's carry on, see what we can find along this road. I've taken my scarf off, such apricitousness did I feel. Of course, apricitousness is not a word, apricity is a word. That's a wonderful word. I just wish I could remember it. Alright, I'm not sure exactly what's going on. I think that Karula sighting is very busy. Let's just go across to Jamie and find out if she's on her way there, and if so, what the situation is.
Your timing is perfect, because we are indeed on our way there. We're going quite fast, actually, because Karula is about to disappear into the drainage line system. So we're going to have our work cut out for her staying with her. But let us get here, and hopefully we can make a plan. Herbert's just pulled out for us. He's made some space for us. Oh no, Brian, we're going to the coldest place on Juba. Oh dear, and we're going fast, Brian. My nose is running. My eyes are watering. But that's okay. The cold disappears into insignificance when you are going to make your way to see a leopard. Okay. Apparently she keeps changing her mind about where she wants to be. Bear with me 1 second while we attempt to work out which approach might be best. Tax, I'm coming into Philemon's Dip now. Shall I approach from Finns Road? Copy that, thank you. Okay. Let's just check very carefully here. She's just disappeared after all that. She's somewhere here. Well, Tax says she's going west, but he's already gone around to follow up on her. And we know what Karula can be like. She can be a pretty tricky cat when it comes to picking a direction. Let's just go nice and slowly, make sure that we don't miss her. I wonder where she's hidden those cubs. I think she's probably hunting. That's why she's backwards and forwards at the moment. Okay. Copy that, thank you. Whee! And off we go. They've got her again. She's on the road. She's on this road, to be precise. And I hope you're all very, very excited to see the Queen of Djuma once again, as are we. It's been a while since we last saw her. Or at least I last saw her. Don't do that, Wendy. No playing with the clutch. Okay. Let us see where she may be. Let us attempt to find a way through here. There she is. Let's just get a view of her quickly. She's about to pop. No. She's being difficulty. Okay. Let's go. There she is. Well done, Brian. Okay. Let us attempt to reposition. How's your... no, she's going to keep moving. Awesome. Just the tip of her tail sticking out there. Let's go forward a bit. She's coming this side. Oh, there she goes. Okay, duck down. There we go. Yay. Where'd she go? Pulling her Karula tricks. Hidden behind the trees for now. There she goes. Picking her way through the drainage line. It's going to be tricky for us to stay with her, but we are going to try. Whee! Can hear the sound of Tex trying to stay with her. There she goes. She is going straight towards the road. I'm going to try follow up there. Got her. Thank you so much, yours. Awesome, guys. Just bear with us a moment as we do some repositioning here. Let's see if she doesn't pop out over here. I agree with James Richard, and good morning as always. The Queen is most definitely worth braving the cold for. And she's in here somewhere, so just bear with me. I'm looking to see if I can't figure out where exactly it is she's gone. She's gonna pop out behind us. I think she's down there. I think Texan's got her still. Tex, have you still got visual there? Copy that, thank you. She's between us, apparently. Can we see her, Brian? I can't see her. Go ahead, Mike. She must be, I think she's moving in this direction. Mike, come along Rebecca's. Stay on the road. I think she's going to pop out here. Negative text. He's asking me if I can see her. I'm saying no, I can't. Oh, there she is. I've got her text. She's behind me. Sneaky girl. Aren't you beautiful in this morning sunlight? Hey, firm. There we go, guys. Let's just stop here for now. Let's just see what she decides to do. And do bear with me. I'm excited as you are to see her. I do just need to help Texan out since he got us here. She's sitting for now, but she's looking across the road. It's amazing. You can know a leopard's there, and they still do this amazing job of keeping themselves secret. It's just the subtle nature of the animals themselves. Okay, let's go a bit. Reposition a bit, get another view of the lovely Queen. There she goes. I wonder if she's seen something. She's not full alert mode. Just want to make sure that we don't make life more difficult. But she seems to be scouring this area. Perhaps hunting. Perhaps looking for her cubs. She hasn't called. So I don't think it's cub related. I think it's hunting related. Go forward a little bit. Oh, no, hold on. She's not empty-bellied. She has eaten relatively recently. She doesn't have that flap of skin showing between her back legs. She's crossed the road now, heading more west. Okay. We're going to try and stay with her. It's a very tricky spot, but I think we'll be okay for the moment. It's this drainage line system around Philemon's dip that she absolutely loves. Let's just hold on one moment here. We went to investigate what's in the drainage line. Good morning, gorgeous. Tail up in the air. And that beautiful yellow coat shining in this dawn light. There's no better time to see a leopard except maybe in the evening. First thing in the morning is just extraordinary. Oh, slowly, slowly. There she goes. Slinking through the bush. Okay, we're going to keep up with her, otherwise she is going to disappear. There's something so incredibly graceful about the way in which a leopard moves. She's going into the dip now. Life is about to get very, very tricky. I'm going to have to go around. I don't even think I can get around here. I think she's going to cross onto the other side. I think actually we'll have a better chance of seeing her from the other side. I think let's try and get ourselves into the drainage and follow her through there. Seems as though this was a good decision. Tax is there as well. And she's made her way onto the top of a termite mound. Bear with me one moment, we'll get a view of her in a second. Yeah, that's wonderful. Anna Marie's had 2 out of her 3 wishes come true. One was for lion cubs, the other was for Queen Karula. And now the third one is a ground hornbill. Well, we'll do our best, Anna Marie, but for now, we're going to settle for this position unless she lies down. And the reason I say that is because she's about to get up, I think. Surveying us from her perch on top of an island in the middle of a river system. Yeah, there we go. Oh my goodness. There's a big tree there. Okay guys, this might be a relatively limited sighting with Karula. Depending on where she goes. Oh, she's going to go up now towards Philemon's. Whoopsie. Sorry guys, she's changed her mind again. She's going up towards Philemon's cut line. Oh, now she's changed her mind again. She's spotted something. She has spotted something. Her body language has just changed. Not intently stalking. Where's she gone? There she is. She's looking intently ahead. We're going to give her plenty of space in the sighting so that we don't run the risk of disturbing any kind of hunt. Don't think she's actively hunting now, but she is actively looking for something to catch. Scouring the drainage lines, as leopards are wont to do, searching for little antelope. And look, she's coming right back towards us. Just goes to show it's actually worth waiting for her to decide where she wants to go. No. Except, oh, there she is. Copy that, Tax. I'll try stay with her. Okay. Let us go around onto the other side of the drainage line. We're just going to have to wait our turn for the other vehicle to move out of our way. The one thing that we have that other vehicles don't is the ability to get our vehicle. There she goes. She's just crossing in front there. The ability to get our vehicles where other vehicles... Oh. Cannot go. So while we reposition, try for one last view of the Queen Karula herself. Let's go back to James for an update.
Everyone, we stopped here because there was a pearl-spotted owl calling. Unfortunately, the pearl-spotted owls of this region don't seem to speak the same pearl-spotted owl vernacular that I do. I promise they used to in the south. There is also a white-browed scrub robin that you can hear their alarm calling. And I suspect because it can see the owl. It's right here. It's a tiny little owl, only about 6 inches long, and it'll be sitting in the branches here somewhere. But now it is either frightened of my very manly pearl-spotted owl call, or it thinks, what an idiot, I'm not going to bother to call for that. I think he's in this tree here. We ease our way gently past. See if we can't see him. Because with this super zoom camera, if we can get him this close by, it will be really special. Maybe in this marula tree we're going past now. I'm going to give it one more try, everybody. Not vaguely interested. So all you can hear now, white-browed scrub robins, one of them going over there and the other one going pearl-spotted owl, get out of here. Ooh. David? Is that synthetic or do you think it's of animal origin? I think that's synthetic myself. Don't you? I think that's come from a blanket that has been torn apart by possibly an animal. I don't think we should leave it there. Some animal might well eat it. Yes. This is a very strange thing to find here. I will take it out, I promise. All right. We've made our way off Arathusa. We couldn't find anything else there. The radio is still about to explode with excitement at those lion cubs. So let's go back onto Juma and see what we can find over there. wonderful to have seen the Queen. Hello, Roy. You say you know that we live out here in the bush, but you're wondering how primitive it is. Do we have cable TV, and what is the cell phone signal like? Roy, it is extremely tempting to paint a picture for you that makes it seem like that we are ultimate survivors, that we live in small grass huts, that we have to kill our own food, that we trap francolins, and that we have no contact with the outside world but for through the lens through which I'm talking to you now. That would be a brutal and unfair lie. Here's actually quite a good place to stop and explain it to you. You see up there, Roy, you can see some power cables. And that's not only a power cable, there is a telephone line running there as well. So, yes, we have electricity fully here. Oh, quickly, let's go back to Karula, Roy. I'll get back to you just now.
Here we go, and Karula still with her, making her way through this drainage line system. Let's reposition, get a bit closer. So it's a tricky spot, everybody. As you can tell, we're kind of stuck between several river systems, and I'm trying to plot out my route at the same time as bring you the visuals of her. I think let's go in through here. There she goes. Watching her move through this area is absolutely extraordinary. So I'm going to be speaking very, very softly because we are right next to another vehicle. And she's slowly moving along the drainage line systems, and this is the perfect place for her to hunt because it means that she's got plenty of cover to plan an ambush. And at the same time, she also has a greater chance of encountering things like Nyala and Steenbok-en-Duyker, which is of course what she's on the lookout for. She's trotting forward. She's seen something, and I think she's heading towards that direction to put herself in a better place. She spotted something. Oh, it's run. It's already gone. The Impala. They are very far away. And she has ducked through in that direction. I don't even know if she chased them. I don't think she did. But she was seen. So already a failed hunt for her. And that is how probably most of her morning's going to go. The success rate for these animals is very, very low in terms of the hunts that they initiate or the stalks that they initiate. And then even follow through. And even less in terms of a successful hunt and a successful catch. She might have gone racing after that. Let's just stop and listen. Well, let's attempt to stop and listen. There are other vehicles here. Guys, I'm going to make a decision because she is hunting and because this area is so tricky. You got her there, Bryan?
Yeah, briefly. There she goes.
There she goes. Because of this area, because it's very difficult for us to keep our vehicles with her, I'm going to reposition one more time just to see where she's going and what she's doing. And depending on her body language, if she still looks like she's determined to hunt something or if she's spotted something, we're going to leave. We're going to pull out of the sighting and let her hunt in peace. We know she's got 2 little ones with her. She's got 2 hungry mouths to feed, plus her own. And we don't need to make life more difficult for her. I think we're going to head out as well, thank you. She's hunting. All right. Thanks, Mike. Cheers, guys. Ooh. Bryan, those are some nasty thorns. You definitely don't want to be hooked in those. No. I can't see her. Trying to see where they're looking. Alright. Guys, I'm going to pull out of this sighting. I don't know where she's gone. I think she is wanting to go and hunt. I'm not going to push it any further. I think we're going to leave, and we will try and follow up with her on the sunset safari, because fingers crossed she's going to catch something. While we leave the area and make our way back towards the road, let's go over to James, who is at the home of a very special character.
Hello everybody, here I sit at the burrow of a favourite friend of SafariLIVE's, and many of you will know, of course, the sad tale of Pinchy Hyena, the freshwater crab, lonely fellow that he is and possibly was. He used to live in this puddle, when it's a puddle, and this is his burrow here. Now, a little while back I came upon this area hoping to see Pinchy, and there was some water here, but a buffalo had sat in this puddle, and its large bottom had squashed over Pinchy's burrow, and I thought, well, that's it for Pinchy. And then I dug it out, and I just kind of opened it up again and hoped to see him again. And what I've discovered today is what I think is very fresh excavations. Can you see this kind of stony sand over here? Can you?
Oh, Mike's just, it's blipping in and out.
It's blipping in and out.
It might just be being pinched.
Shall I show you that? Does that help? It's over here.
Well,
Not helping.
It's clear now.
It's clear now.
Just careful that it doesn't get...
Right, there everybody, you can see the excavation of Pinchy Hyena. He's definitely been digging out that sandy little, or that stony bit of sand there. And then when I look inside, which you won't be able to see, but I will just do it for effect, it goes a long way down that hole. So I think he's actually probably alive and well, and we might see him again when the rains eventually come. Now, he has a friend very far away from here called Squeezy Dyson, and Squeezy Dyson lives in a pan very similar to this on Twin Dams Road, quite a long way to the east. Whether they'll ever actually meet each other, I'm not sure, but wouldn't it be a romantic story, the story of Pinchy Hyena and Squeezy Dyson and their budding romance across the plains of Djuma. All right, on we go. Otherwise, we haven't seen much. I did hear another call there of a Steerling's wren warbler. Tick-a-tick, 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 tick-a-tick. Did I open that? Sorry about that, David. Now, Rob, the primitive living that we engage in. Rob, we don't have cable TV. We don't have cable TV in South Africa, but we have an equivalent, which is known as satellite television, and we do have that out here. If you want to get it, we can watch the sport, which Brent and I certainly do on a regular basis, many others. We watch some rugby. We have, what else, other creature comforts don't we have? So what don't we have? We don't have access, obviously, to any shops or anything like that. That's got to be about an hour and a half away. We can go to what we call a local shebeen. If we wanted to go to a local pub, we'd find one in the communities out here, and there you drink beer out of quarts like that. That's how you buy it. But there are no supermarkets or that sort of thing around this particular area. What else would be primitive about the way we live? Cell phone signal you wanted to know about? Very poor, but it does come. I mean, it depends on which network you are. So it's not, it's not total blackout at all. So we do get cell phone signal, and obviously we get Wi-Fi, which comes in through various methods into this area. So Rob, really it's not that primitive. It's actually pretty modern living, but in a particularly beautiful part of the world. I possibly should have spun you a yarn, but you know, I'm much too truthful for that, aren't I, David? Yes, exactly. Now, I'm driving up this road here on the western sector of Djuma in the hopes of spotting Tingana, who came onto Djuma yesterday round about this time. We didn't see him, and then he was lost. And nobody saw him yesterday evening. And I don't know if he crossed this road or not, so we'll drive up here and see if we don't find, he does like to eat warthog, perhaps we'll find a warthog dangling from a tree. Karula not far from here, she was just in this drainage system down to the right hand side of your screen, so not easy to follow through there, but that's where she was. No tracks of Shadow, no tracks of her cub, so I don't know where they are. And just to keep you posted, apparently Sindile was found on Elephant Plains yesterday, which was quite nice. He seems to have made his home there, you know. He spent about 10 days or so sitting on Elephant Plains. So that's quite a long way to the west of us, but it means he's doing okay. And Sindile, for those of you who don't know, a 20-month-old male leopard, or it must be almost 21 months now, nearly 2. And he, of course, has the tragic tale of rehabilitation. He killed a rabid dog. When was that? That was about 9 months ago now. 8 months ago. He killed a rabid dog. We thought he had rabies, so they tested him. He didn't, but they still had to put him in quarantine for 6 months. And that's what they did, and then they reintroduced him in a very unusual kind of practice. Normally, the practice out here is if an animal is suspected of being rabid, then they will destroy it straight away. And there was a lot of argument about destroying him. Anyway, he seems to be back in the area and absolutely fine. He's killed a few Impala, and so I think just the right decision was made by taking him out, putting him in rehab and bringing him back here. Oh, I'm just looking at the road here. And Michael, you're saying, has Shadow and a new cub been seen recently? No, they haven't. I think that they're spending most of their time on Hofmans, which is to the south of us, but they haven't been seen for some time. And that's what I was hoping to find. We went all the way to the south of Arathusa, and we came up the main drag there. I was hoping to find some kind of tracks of her. The last time I saw her, Viam and I were driving down that main road, and she crossed into Hofmans on her own. So I think that's where they're hanging out. It's not a particularly well-known property, it's not particularly well traversed, and so I think that that's why we're not seeing them. And I haven't even heard any reports of them. So we hope that they're okay. I think given the area that she's concentrating in, it's most likely that Zara is absolutely fine. That's the little cub, who is now 4 months old and almost exactly a month younger than Karula's. Okay, we're going to go around the corner here, see if we can find some tracks of Tingana. Let's go and find out what Jamie's plans are from Karula.
Well, bear with me 1 second, because I am trying to listen to this. Ephraim's giving me updates. Apparently Karula is hunting a duiker. But what we're going to do is we're going to go around and we're just going to check from one of the old roads that leads down there. So Ephraim just giving us a heads up. Herbert is on fire this morning, as of course he always is, because guess what he has found? He has found Karula's cubs as well. They are probably about 700 meters from where we left her, hiding out in the drainage line there. We're not going to be making our way there right now. As I said at the start of the sunrise safari with Karula's cubs, giving them a great deal of distance when she is not there, because they're tucked away in a drainage line, because the view is going to be difficult unless we move closer. I'm not going to go racing across to that area. And as I said, she's busy hunting for them right as we speak. So hopefully by the sunset safari we'll be able to find her once again, and we'll have a lovely sighting of Karula and her cubs enjoying a meal. But for now, let's go and investigate. We're going to go a little bit faster just to get to where Karula is heading to see if she doesn't pop out there. As I said, I pulled out of that sighting because she was hunting in a very difficult area, and I couldn't guarantee that I wasn't going to affect her hunt in some way. But because she's heading towards an open road area, we might be able to watch her comfortably from a distance without stressing her out or making life more difficult for her. So all we're going to do is we're going to pop into the old hyena den, have a look-see around there. If she's not there, then we'll follow up on the sunset safari. Okay, James is responding to that. Things shaping up to be a very, very exciting morning for Mr. Henry. Let us see what he can see from where he is. Okay, let's go a bit slower here. We can't guarantee, we've seen how Karula's moving through the area. Can't guarantee exactly where she's going to pop out. Standing by. Onzo is approaching the old hyena den road. Copy that, thanks Ephraim. Okay. He's telling me to go quickly, go faster to the hyena den, or else we're going to miss out on seeing her. She's in this very tricky drainage line system, making life a little bit difficult. Not too much so though. Where's this road now? Here we go. Here we go. And who knows, we might suddenly find an active hyena den, you never know. Worth paying a visit back to the old hyena den sites every now and again. Okay, let's keep our eyes peeled for stealthy spots in the bushes. Be a lot easier to keep up with her in this area. Okay, everybody watch heads. It's become a little bit overgrown in here. Here we go. Well done, Bryan. Moving the antenna out of the way of the branches. Okay, let's keep looking. Straight into the rising sun. Just Karula. Go carefully around this corner. One day this road's going to disappear completely when we next get rain. And now we want to keep checking. Oh, there's Ephraim. He must see her. He must actually have her visual. Awesome. How utterly marvelous. There she is. Thank you, Ephraim. Awesome. Fantastic. We have relocated Karula at the old hyena den. Absolutely marvelous, and we have Ephraim to thank for that as she surveys the area looking for any potential prey that she might see. Looking absolutely stunning. Thank you, Ephraim. There's not many more images as iconic as a leopard sitting upright and alert. balanced on a log and just using this advantage of height. There's all kinds of creatures hidden in these drainage line systems, as we spoke about before. And in fact, we stopped earlier just to check something on the vehicle, and were confronted with one very terrified-looking scrub hare staring at us with wide eyes. Oh, another big yawn. She's going to get up soon. She's not going to stay here. She's on the move and on the hunt. But she's moved to a much more open area, much easier area for us to keep track of her. And those of you who are listening carefully, that beautiful bird call. Off in the distance, it is a black-crowned chagra, and one of the most beautiful sounds that you could hear out in the bush. It's one of my favorite bird calls, and it's one that the scrub robins and the fork-tailed drongos love to imitate as well. What have you seen, girl? Constantly on a swivel. I'm so thrilled because one of the landowners has brought their children to the reserve, and the little girl says that her favorite leopard in the whole world is Karula, and she was just desperate to see her. They're here on their school holidays, and I'm so thrilled that they did get an opportunity to actually encounter her. This little girl has grown up her entire life getting a chance to see Karula. So James is slowly making his way towards the cubs, which are not far away from us at all. I think the view is going to be limited, but nevertheless it'll be marvelous for us to have Mom on one hand and the little ones on the other. Giving us another glance over the stately face. Now, speaking about the different vehicles, Kim, you were wondering about how we decide who goes on which vehicle and who gets to take Rusty and who gets to take Wendy. Most of the time we fall into a pattern in terms of who gets to drive what. So we get 2 drives on one vehicle, and then we switch around and we have 2 drives on the other. And the same applies to, I think you do two in a row, don't you, Bryan?
Yeah,
on camera?
We swap vehicles halfway through the day.
Okay, so the cameramen swap the vehicles halfway through the day so that they get a chance to, first of all, go with a different presenter every now and again. And also, obviously, one of us gets too much to handle. And then we have to do a quick switch around. It also means they get to practice on a different camera. This morning, because James, our schedule was thrown a bit off kilter. Oh, we're off. As she heads into the drainage line, we'll try and keep with her, as I said, keeping some distance as well at the same time. And there goes our marvelous queen into the drainage line. I'm actually not even going to try and approach this way because she's going to go straight across and we can't cross there. It's rocky. As marvelous as Wendy's driving capabilities are, she's not going to get us through there. We're going to have to go around, but we'll catch up with her on the other side. Anyway, yes, end of that story. This morning I said to James he should take Rusty because he can go further on Rusty. He can go to different places on Rusty. And I figured he would be quite happy to be able to not necessarily be stuck in one place, as Wendy has limited areas that she can go to at the moment. There she is, walking straight in front of us. Karula, of course, having grown up with vehicles coming to and from around her, and she is perfectly relaxed with their presence. She's making her way, I think, to the next termite mound. Another potential height advantage that she can use. Let's just wait and see before we reposition which way she's going to go. Yeah, she's going to go up onto the termite mound. Thank you to everybody who's sending through your beautiful screenshots. There's not much more that is as picturesque as a leopard, but we do appreciate those and we do see them. We do go through them. She's slinking around the edge of this termite mound. I don't know if she's spotted something. No, she's just spotted a nice place to sit. Beautiful. I'm going to try and get around in a moment to get a view of her face. But look how comfortable that spot is that she appears to have found. Even more so, it is hidden away. So she'd be, unless we knew she was here, she'd be next to invisible. If you're a passing antelope, you might be unaware of the very large cat keeping an eye on you. You can see she hasn't seen anything that's attracted her interest yet, but she's looking really carefully. She's also found herself some shade because, believe it or not, despite all of our complaining about the temperatures this morning, it is now very, very warm. The unpredictable nature of the low-felt winter's weather. I'm just going to do some shuffling here. My boxes that I store all my books in has decided to go for a bit of a walk. It's blocking the gear stick completely. Here we go. And let's see if we can't get a view of her face. Oh, no, hold on. She appears to be looking at us. Here we go. Karula on a termite mound. Our leopard's favorite spots out here. For some reason where we are, I'm struggling a little bit to hear your questions. So where you are, if you are asking questions, I'm not ignoring you. I'm just attempting. Let's try that one again, Lou. Let's see if we can't. If my attempted. Oh, there we go. Made a plan. So to Master Chief, who is a new viewer, welcome on our Sunrise Safari. It is marvelous to have you on board. Now, Master Chief says that I love watching animals, but very nervous about being up close to them. And how do we feel about being so close to these animals? And how do we go about it? Well, there is a constant sense of respect, Master Chief. So I've said that Karula grew up from a small cub with safari vehicles around her. And she is perfectly relaxed with the presence of vehicles. Even though we know this leopard inside and out, we still have to remember that she's a wild animal and to keep that level of respect that we always grant her and any other of the big animals. So whilst we're never frightened, we are always alert and always careful and never complacent. And what we do what makes us very important in terms of your approach to animals is we are constantly reading their body language, looking for nuances that perhaps not everybody has noticed. And that's what allows us to get close to the animals. But there will always be a little bit of, there's a minor risk. It's the smallest risk. But they are wild animals, and we have to remember that. I never feel afraid. Sometimes I get, when elephants are slightly upset with my presence, then I definitely feel the need to remove myself. But it's more out of a respect for the animals that we're seeing more than anything else. And the feeling is one of absolute respect. But it is wonderful to have you on board, and I hope that you get to see all kinds of our marvelous animals. We've started off the morning on a high note. Lion cubs on a kill, leopard relaxing on a termite mound, waiting for the opportunity to hunt something. We're definitely very fortunate to be in the jobs that we are and to be in the place that we are. There are definitely worse ways to start a Tuesday morning. D Hugs says, okay guys, well, who paid that leopard to sit there for this awesome shot? Well, yes, of course, Karula and I do have something of a deal going on. She doesn't accept payment in cash, but she will accept payment in... No, I'm joking. We don't feed the animals, we don't arrange them. Although that first sighting of the Nkuhuma cubs that Bryan and myself had, it really did. And I know a few people commented on it. It really looked as though we'd gone and arranged them beforehand. 3 cubs in sort of perfect symmetrical poses on their mom's leg. It was absolutely phenomenal. And steal a phrase from Jerry, one of our very capable producer. Jerry said sometimes Africa provides pictures so perfect that they could be a work of art. Leopards are a marvelously picturesque creature. I mentioned that she's in her favourite spot. Oh, shifting around a bit to get more comfortable. Richard, do we know why this particular leopard lies upon the termite mounds, or likes to lie upon the termite mounds? It's something you'll see with all of our leopards, and it is because it provides an incredible vantage point, a little bit of height, but also keeps them hidden. And they can be alternately provide plenty of shade or a little bit of sun to warm up, depending on what they want. So a termite mound just serves so many wonderful functions, the most important of which is that it provides a slight height advantage so they can look for prey to sneak up upon. And speaking about termite mounds, that question reminded me of the sighting with Karula's daughter Tundi. Tundi has had her cubs. She has had them at the Chitwa Lodge. She's denning them just outside the lodge there. So exciting news, everybody. We've got yet another set of cubs belonging to Karula's lineage. Her daughter Shadow, Tundi's twin sister, has a young cub. Tundi has had cubs. And Karula has cubs. And speaking of lovely Karula cubs, I think you should pop right over to James very quickly because he simply cannot wait to show you what he has in store.
Well, all we've got, everybody, is just a bit of spotting on the top there, and that is where either George or Charlotte are sitting on a termite mound, and they're just waiting for their mum to come back and tell them where the latest meal is coming from. Now, I know it's not a great view, and I don't think we're going to get a great view, and we could, of course, try and drive around off-road, but because Karula's not here, we're just going to stay around here, where we can get a bit of a view. And I think you'll find if we sit here for a little bit, they might actually come out onto the top. There we've got a face looking, and you can hear the squirrel, I'm sure, calling. I'm sure you can hear the squirrel calling, going tick-a-tick, 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 tick-a-tick. And Johan's just going to move out for us, and then we'll go and have a nice look now just around the other side. But like I say, because they're on their own, we won't move too much closer. That's just one of them. I don't know where the other one is, and I'm going to suspect that that is quite probably Charlotte. And if George isn't there, I suspect that he is sitting in a tree not too far from here. Alright, let's just go around there and get a slightly better view. George likes to climb, you see. And there's a squirrel shouting behind us there. If this is the only one here, I think George was in a tree somewhere. Yeah, Davey, can you see in there? If you look in there through the gap, you should have perfect view there. All there. See there? You have got a visual, Louise, I promise you. You're looking straight at it. You can just see the spots. There we are. There's a little leopard cub. I think that's the same one we were looking at earlier. So they love termite mounds, and they love to sit on trees because those are secure places for them to be. I think we'd probably get a better view for where we were, don't you, Dave? I'm going to go back, everyone. I think that's probably the best view we'll get. It's not going to be a great view, and I mean, like I say, we could box around a bit and try and get a better view, but without Mum here, I don't want to disturb them. We don't want them to run away. Is that fine? There we go. I'm pretty sure that's little Charlotte. There we go. It's not, you know. It's George. How do I know that? Well, simply because I think that the eyes are George's eyes. But let me just check that carefully. I'm not sure. You can also get the spots there. Can't really see actually where I'm sitting. Okay, cool. Thank you. Thanks. Nigel, a very good question from you. You say for this time of the year, is it normal to have so many baby cats? No, it isn't. I mean, it's not unusual. It would be unusual for any time of the year to have this many youngsters. It's just that it's purely coincidence. The cats are generally non-seasonal breeders, and so the fact that they have all their youngsters now is quite unusual. What's not unusual is that the pride of lions is having cubs at the same time as each other, that all the females in the pride are having their cubs at the same time. That is pretty standard issue, and it's because they come into estrus when the new males take over an area, and so it's not unusual therefore that they should become pregnant at the same time. That's pretty standard. But the fact that Karula's got cubs now, that Shadow's got a cub, that Tandy apparently has just given birth as well, indicates to me that it says to me it's purely coincidence. I'm trying to look and see if that little Cindy Crawford mole is there. That tells us that that's Charlotte. Now, just to keep you posted on the nomenclature, I know many of you are interested in how or why they get named. There is a Rangers meeting today. Oh, look at that. Where their names will be debated by the Rangers of this area. Taxon and Aubrey have put through 2 names for them. They're not George or Charlotte, which of course makes me very sad because I quite like George and Charlotte as names for these 2 little chaps. So maybe at the end of the day we will have new names for them. I'm not going to tell you what they are. You'll be in awe-inspiring suspense by the time the afternoon comes around. Not so, David. Of course, to the leopard it makes absolutely no difference whatsoever. Now Elaine, you are observant. You say, why do these cubs not play like the lion cubs? Well, one of the reasons they're not playing at the moment is because they're on their own, and so they will be reticent to move out from cover. They'll be very nervous of moving out from where they are now. And so that's one of the reasons. The second reason is that they're leopards, and that means that they do play a little bit. They play actually more with their mother than they do with each other, because they will be solitary. They will be completely solitary one day, and that is evident almost from birth. Now, they do play a bit. It's not like they're sort of unfriendly with each other, but Elaine, it's absolutely one of the things that I noticed as soon as we started viewing these cubs, that they do seem to be far less playful than lion cubs. That's because lion cubs are going to be social. They will always be social animals, whereas these chaps will be completely solitary. I know this isn't a great view, everyone, but it is a leopard cub, and so let's just enjoy that. Right, while we wait and see if this little cub comes out, I don't think she's going to. I think she's going to go to sleep. Let's go back across to the great queen herself.
Guys, we are still with our lovely leopard sighting as she watches the world go round. And just bear with me one moment. Oh, there we go. We've got a response to that. I've just got lots of people now interested in making their way back towards the sighting. You're wanting to come back and join us. And isn't that incredible? Karula on one side, and the cubs not far from us at all, with James playing shy and hard to get, hidden behind the leaves. And Karula looking to supply some food for her family. And the fact that we are coming to you live from the middle of the African bush still is something that astounds me every time I think about it. And there's another nice suggestion from Foxhat about why our leopards love the termite mound so much. Foxhat has said, is she sheltered from the wind on that termite mound? And might that perhaps be a reason why they go there, because it might stop the wind from blowing their scent towards an animal? And Foxhat, the answer is the side that she's on, no, it doesn't. The wind is actually blowing in a little bit from the north today, which is quite unusual. And she is on the, hold on a moment, let me just remember my way directions work. She's on the western side of the termite mound. So western side, first thing in the morning, it's providing her with a little bit of shade, is what it is providing. Which I'm starting to wish that I had, because I am overheating now. Bryan, how many jackets did you say you had on? 5. You have 5 on. You must be feeling pretty warm as well at this point. It's definitely got nice and warm out here. I think that is why Karula is where she is. It's also hidden her. The other explanation could be that it has hidden her from the view of any animals that might be moving in the drainage line itself. So if they look up, they wouldn't immediately see her from the side of the termite mound that she is on. She's also just taking a little bit of a break. She probably covered last night while she was looking for food. There's a chance she covered 5, even 10 miles. Last time we saw her, her tracks went onto Torchwood. And she's brought the cubs back onto Djuma, onto Vuyatela, and she's come back herself. And all in all, that's a round circle distance of close to about 8 miles, if I had to guess. And you've seen the way that Karula walks. She doesn't walk in a straight line when she's hunting for something. She moves north, south, east, west with no particular order. And it might be that she's actually quite tired as well. Resting her legs and hoping that by trying a different tactic, by sitting on the termite mound, she might have a little bit more luck. Another big yawn. Up she gets. It's usually a prelude to a leopard on the move. Big stretch. We're going to stay with her. We're going to see what she does. Hopefully it'll give us an idea as to where to start the sunset safari. While we do, let's go back to James, who has a cub in a tree.
Okay. Look, everybody, I thought there was one in the tree. Remember I said there's a squirrel alarm calling. I thought it was too far away from the termite mound. And there is the other one there sitting in the tree. Isn't that cool? Look at that tree. All I heard was the alarm calling there, and I then put my binoculars onto that tree, and I thought there's something in there. And there is little, I don't know, I think that's Charlotte. Although George seemed to be the tree climber earlier, I think that's Charlotte. The eyes are just slightly browner than the one we've been looking at. Isn't that cool? That is so wonderful. I wonder if she knows she's been spotted. I doubt it. That's definitely Charlotte, everyone. I can see the eyes. They're much browner. Now, Shannon in Ohio, I know this isn't the best view, but we're just going to stick with it for now. And it's shaking because I'm just moving slightly. We're right at the end of the lens. Shannon, you say, will they be able to kill anything at this stage of their lives? Yes, they will. They will kill small things like lizards. I mean, I know it sounds a bit facetious, but they'll kill things like termites as well. And eventually, fairly soon, they will start to take things like mice and gerbils if they can get hold of them. But also birds. Franklins, I think, are the ones that are going to cop it from these two little things. And you can see or you can hear that there's a squirrel alarm calling at that little leopard. And the leopard will become, I don't know if it's instinctual or whether it is an instinctual learning process where she will make a connection between the fact that it becomes difficult to kill things with the squirrel shouting at her. I think very soon, though, she'll realize that the squirrel and the bird alarm calling is a function of her presence, and that will then help her. Once she's made that connection, that will help her to catch smaller prey, because she'll try and avoid being seen by things like squirrels and birds. So I think Franklins will be the next on the menu. I think they're a little bit small for that just yet. But you can see they're brilliant tree climbers already, highly competent, and very comfortable, actually being almost completely arboreal. Joey, a nice question from Australia. You say, why do leopards have such small litters compared with lions and cheetahs? Joey, they're not that much smaller, but they are smaller. And let's address each one separately. Lions, larger litters, often sort of 4 will survive, normally 3, but up to 6. Remember, they're social, so they live in a group. It's much easier to feed them if they're all together. Whereas, obviously, with a leopard, she's solitary. She's got only herself to look after them. So I think it's purely a function of the fact that there's a pride. They're easier to look after when lions, and therefore they're between 1.5 to 2 times the number that they're going to be otherwise. Then, if we look at cheetah, probably slightly larger litters. Joey, I wouldn't say much larger at all. I mean, I've often seen 3 cheetah cubs together. That's not too unusual. And I don't think that's... leopards, you will often find 3. Normally only 2 will survive, sometimes only 1. And I think you'll find with cheetah, there's almost a little bit of what we call R selection, or K selection, where they almost have extra cubs as an insurance policy. They don't have a very good success rate, and so I think you'll find that they probably maintain 3 or 4 for a little bit longer, almost as an insurance policy, Joey. That would be my guess for cheetah. Lions more, simply because there's more to eat, there's greater protection, inner pride. I know this isn't the best view, but it is just so lovely to be in their presence for a little while. And we'll go back and have another look at the other one on the termite mound once Taxon's moved out. That is so cool. So you were also wondering around why they don't play with each other, and we were chatting about that. And what's interesting here is that they're spending, not only are they not playing with each other, they're also spending less and less time with each other. So, and they're prepared to sit further away from each other than they were before, which I think is quite interesting. Georgianne, you say lots of lions, lots of leopards, lots of hyena cubs. It bodes well for the area. Well, I don't think it's a coincidence that we're going into a drought, and that's it's much easier for the predators now to survive because there's a weakness amongst the herbivores because they are compromised nutritionally. David's also compromised nutritionally. He's got consumption. That's why he's coughing. Georgianne, let's just go a little bit forward. So yes, it does bode well for the predators, and of course it goes in ebbs and flows, you know. I mean, they're going to go through tough times in the same way that the herbivores go through tough times. We'll just have one last look over here and see if we can see what I think is George. He's still there, is he? Davey, can you see him? I can't see him. Yeah, I think I can. I think he's just moving. No. Phantom leopard, as Louise says. I think he's just gone down the other side. All right, everyone, we're going to have one more look at the leopard in the tree, and then I think we're going to leave the sighting, and we'll all definitely come back here this afternoon and see if they haven't connected with each other. I mean, mum and youngsters. I just want to see if I can get you a slightly better view of this chap here, and I also want you to see the squirrel sitting below her shouting. I could just see the tail going flick, 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 flick. There, you might get that's a very slightly better view, Dave. Try that. Keep going, you're in the right place. Up a bit. Up a bit.
Oh, there's the squirrel.
There's the squirrel. There you go, and you see the tail? And then to the left of that, Dave, you've got the leopard. There she is. I'm just going to go... Davey, what do you think? Maybe slightly forward. There you go. That's about as good as we're going to get. And a question there, the name I'm afraid I missed, about black leopards, and have we ever seen them in this area? No, I've never seen one. As from Suspicious Primate, I've never seen a black leopard here. I've heard rumour of one once. I don't believe it to have been true. This is not good habitat for black leopards. Habitat for black leopards would be much more forested area, and so the selective pressure to have them in this area would be very reduced. It's not impossible, but it's highly unlikely. Black leopards much more prominent in areas where there's thick forest, as opposed to this kind of dappled woodland. Beautiful. All right, everyone, that's going to be it for now. We'll come back here a little bit later today. I'm most pleased that that squirrel told us where Charlotte is. So I'm pretty sure that's Charlotte, the little female, 5 months old now, and I'm pretty sure the male is the one here. Little George, who unfortunately they're probably going to be renamed today to something more in the vernacular, which I suppose is appropriate for this area. So it might be for the last time that we say goodbye to George and Charlotte. Oh, look, right there. Right on the top there, Dave. Up, there we go. Look. Oh, that's very nice. I think we'll stay here a little bit longer if it's all the same to you, everyone. Unless you'd much rather leave. That's definitely George. Just playing with the stick in the same way that a little puppy would play with the stick. Now, I'm just going to give you an idea how far away from each other they are. They're about 100 meters from each other, you know. That's about 330 feet, 325 feet from each other. So that is quite a distance. They will be aware of where each other are, but more and more. Now, Michael, you say that you can tell the difference between these two cubs by looking at their foreheads, and you say that Charlotte has a wow pattern on her forehead that George does not. Now, I have to confess to you, I don't see that, but I'm not disputing it at all, because it took me a long time to be able to see the wow on the front of Karula's forehead. For me, apart from the eye colour, which will change, if you look at George, he's very clearly got 3 spots on his left and 3 spots on his right. And Charlotte has got 4 on her right or our left. She's got 1 above the other 3. And that's what I mean is just above the whisker line there. You can see the 3 on her left, our right. Or at least on his left, our right. There, just next to his nose, you can see those 3 spots. Now, Charlotte's got a very similar pattern, but on the other side, there's a dot just above them. And that looks like a sort of what I describe as her Cindy Crawford mole, and that's how I know the difference between them. Other than the eye colour. This is brilliant. This is a wonderful sighting, everybody. I know that it's not the best view in the world, but we're sitting here with a little leopard cub, 5 months old, completely relaxed around us, not in the slightest bit worried about us. Davy, if I go forward, are you going to be able to film under this branch, or is it going to be in your way?
I think it would be better, Jan.
Okay, let's try. Let me just sneak forward, and while I do that, Boetie, how's that? Boetie, I think you are asking, it's you asking, what are the success rates of the cats in Africa? I'm assuming you're meaning the sort of ages, or the number of survival, or the surviving rates that they have. Leopards, probably 2 in 10. 1 in 10 males go to adulthood or independence. I'd suspect probably 3 in 10 females. And I think you'll find that with the cheetahs, it's probably 2 in 10 get to adulthood independence. Lions, definitely only 1 in 10 males get to independence and dominating a territory. And again, probably 3 in 10 females. So not very high. I'm just going to quickly call Herbert on the Game Drive channel. Okay, we might have to move out of here, everybody. Stations, 1 vehicle here at the moment. We're going to limit it to 2 vehicles, so welcome another one to come in. I'll move out when the next one comes. Flattening the ears there. Here comes Ephraim. I think that's quite a nice little shot there, Dave, don't you? It's not the worst leopard shot we've ever had. Ngwanyane lensinyeni lenzago. Wayvon? La. Yeah. Beautiful. Oh, look at that shot. Look at little George, everyone. Fiona, you want to know if they get a thick coat in the winter and then molt in the summertime? It's not obvious like it is with dogs and cats in domestic animals. I've no doubt their hairs do get longer. I've no doubt that they molt during the heat of our blindingly hot summers that we have here. So yes, I'm sure. They don't appear noticeably fluffier during the winter time than they do in the summer, I must say. So sweet. Very sleepy, Dave, you see that? Sleepy in the sun. I think enjoying the apricity of the morning, perhaps. Oh, there we go. Very fat little belly, you know. That Karula has done an exceptional job. Anna-Marie, you want to know why we're naming the cubs so soon? Well, the attempt is to name them before they're a year old, largely for our viewers. Anna-Marie, it's because what happened is we don't want there to be any confusion. Well, I think that's probably going to be our sighting, everyone. So we don't want there to be any confusion. And so what happened with Sindile was that we gave him a name. Everyone around here thought it was a bit kind of presumptuous of us to give him a name, and so then he had to change his name once they had named him, and still nobody knows exactly what his name is. And so that's basically why we're trying to get everybody to give them a name early so that there's no confusion later on. All right, everyone, that's going to be it, I'm afraid, for our little leopard sighting. Wonderful it was. And we'll move on and see what else we can see in the last few minutes of the drive. We'll try and get one last view of this other leopard. And while we do that, let's go and find an update from Jamie. I don't think we're going to get another view of Charlotte in the tree here.
Well, if you've come to find an update from Jamie, then you're looking in the right place. We have lost Karula once again. She disappeared into the river system that was around the position that we were in initially, and I decided that it wasn't worth trying to follow her in there. So we've left the area for now. We'll be following up on the sunset safari this afternoon, and I'm almost certain that she's going to have a kill somewhere in here, either in here or a little bit further to the south. And the marvelous thing is that now we know where her cubs are. We know the route she's going to take to go and fetch them and take them back there. So everybody keep your fingers crossed that Karula is successful. She's not very hungry yet, but she is clearly intent on hunting, and while we've been watching her over the last few weeks, she's been very clearly not resting in between kills in the way she might have, where she still footloose and fancy free and didn't have too small attachments to look after. As soon as she hunts one thing, she finishes it and she goes straight on to hunting the next. Partly because she has to share, and partly because the little cubs' metabolisms work very, very quickly, as they're doing a lot of growing. I know the feeling. I'm starting to feel some serious rumblings of hunger, and I'm starting to picture whatever treats Amanda might have in store for us back at camp. Amanda, of course, being our marvelous chef, incredibly talented, incredibly passionate, and incredibly tolerant of all of our nonsense. I'm sure she's got something wonderful planned. Except I think it's fruit this morning. It's fruit and yogurt. But apparently I'm not the only one. We're all experiencing some gastric grumblings as we approach breakfast time. I have been thinking about Amanda's cooking for a good hour. I really have to start remembering to bring snacks with me. take a little bit of a picnic with to sustain us throughout the drive. But yes, I imagine that's kind of how Karula feels a lot of the time, or perhaps how her little cubs feel a lot of the time, waiting for Mom to go out and find them something to eat. And it's going to be a wonderful moment when Charlotte and George, and I'm willing to call them Charlotte and George today because they're not going to be called Charlotte and George this afternoon, when Charlotte and George start to hunt for themselves or practice hunting, and that is when leopard cubs get so incredibly entertaining. And you'll be able to watch them as they attempt and very regularly fail trying to catch things like mongoose and francolin and whatever it is they happen to see around them. We've got so much to look forward to over the next few weeks. And it's going to be very exciting to find out what their official names are going to be. We should find out on this afternoon sunset safari, so you'll have to stay tuned to find out what the decision is. And Mara, you were wondering on the subject of naming our little cubs, whether there is a specific process for such things. It depends on where you are, and it depends on the situation. So what happened with young Sindile, Shadow's cub, was of course he developed this nickname, and he developed into a character while we were watching him, and whilst everybody understood that it was an unofficial name, when he did receive his official naming, it became phenomenally confusing to try and remember who we were talking about. So that's why we've moved forward the naming system. Usually it's only after about a year that the cubs are officially named. But we're trying to circumvent that confusion once again, and George and Charlotte have set the ball rolling in terms of naming, in terms of names. So what sometimes happens is it's the person who finds them who names them. In this case it was Brent, but it's a different system here. Or it is the person who is the highest ranking, so who's been there the longest, who has earned the right to name a leopard cub set. Or alternatively, and this is the method we are following, every lodge that sees Karula and her cubs puts two names into a pile and everybody votes on the best possible option. Oh, it remains to be seen. It will be decided by democracy. Democracy hasn't done the world much favors recently, but we'll not go too much into that. So it will depend upon a democratic vote, and we will let you know what they are called this afternoon. And on that note, I'm going to start racing off towards Amanda's sterling breakfast that I have no doubt she has prepared for us. In the meantime, a big thank you to Bryan, as always, for his marvellous camera work and his fantastic company, as well as to Lou and to Chelsea in final control. Most importantly, thank you to all of you. I hope you have a marvellous day or night, wherever you are, and we will catch up with you on the Sunset Safari. Bye-bye, everybody.
Yes, I suppose democracy might be an imperfect system, but possibly the best, except in this situation where I think it should be entirely dictatorial and they should just be called George and Charlotte, and that's just the way it should be. It's not going to happen like that, unfortunately, and that's just the way it is. As much as I've tried to pretend that I don't care what they're going to be called, I've become so deeply attached to the names George and Charlotte that it's going to be very difficult for me to let go of them. Anyway, we'll see what happens. The end of the day will reveal it. I think it will be nice that they have names that we don't change, you know, when they get to a year old. Yes, Kathy, you say thank you for another cubalicious drive. We've had a really delightfully delicious cubalicious drive. I don't believe I just said that. But yes, Kathy, it's been very lucky indeed, and I know, I mean, there's been a huge amount of game driving activity around here. And we've still managed to have a great time there. Louise, what was that? All I heard was beep. Oh, delectable. Oh, I see. No, it wasn't Louisa being ill in the final control. She was saying delectable. The radio comms can be a little difficult at times. Thought maybe she was very hungry, you know, she hasn't had breakfast yet. Let's just have a quick look and see what's at the water hole here at the Jumadam Pan, which you can watch, of course, all the time. Jumadam Pan Cam, if you would like to. It's been a stunning morning. It's going to be a stunning day. I'm hoping to spend much of it sitting in the garden outside. Here, beautiful white-browed scrub robin calling, their Impala coming down to drink. So I hope you... Oh, there's a kudu there. So really wonderful. All right, everybody, that's going to be it from us for the day. Thank you, David, for your efforts. Glad you didn't freeze to death on the back there. Big thank you to Jamie and, of course, Bryan for staying with the wonderful Queen. And, of course, to all of you. The most amount of thanks goes, mainly because you give us of your time and you give us of your intellect through your wonderful questions, and so we thank you very much for that. We'll see you later this afternoon at 3 o'clock. Until then, stay safe and happy wherever you are.